This one doesn't work.
That works too. Okay, awesome. Thank you very much, everyone, for coming. Yeah, we're here for the birthday boy here. At attempt 2, after sadly attempt 1 was, had to be delayed, but we're here for this man here. Same photo as on the Facebook page. I know.
I can see the resemblance now.
Yes,
I was thinking the feet are the same.
The thing is, if you look at baby laughing photos, they're
basically the same.
indistinguishable.
All you need to do is take my baby photos, make them black and white, add some film grain in it.
You should have.
Yeah, that could be this for all you know. I guess I just wanted to use this as an opportunity also to thank you all for coming, and just sort of maybe all of you know Phil from various different walks of life and know different parts of his life, and so this might, tell the story of Phil a bit, tell you something that maybe you didn't know before. So, Phil was a little baby once upon a time, as you can see here. I was quite surprised. There was quite a lot of photos from, I believe on the left it was 15 days old in the file name of the photo, so quite young indeed. So Phil's from a tiny wee town up there in the northeast of Scotland called Fraserburgh. And Phil was, he grew up there with a range of haircuts.
All done by my mother.
What happened to the tie?
Still got it.
He was the eldest of 3 brothers, another one of which is here Neil with us tonight.
We all had the same bowl.
And so I really struggled to find any particularly beautiful pictures of Fraserburgh, but this one's quite nice from back in the day, and that's the sea that Phil used to swim in when it was, Baltic, absolutely freezing. But, Phil his whole life, he's been a bit of a nerd. You can see he was on the school chess team, and sort of a common theme that, throughout the night is, I think, a few of you will have known Phil based on a few of his different nerdy hobbies. Some people here might know him from Dungeons and Dragons and all, this, that, the next. But he's sort of gone through every single possible nerdy hobby that you could go through. I just sort of put this in for another picture of Phil's childhood, and being musical for once. After eventually, he went through school. He went off to Aberdeen, the big town, and somehow managed to earn himself a degree. Had to repeat a year or 2, but he got there in the end. And then when he was at university, he met this wonderful woman. And just I had to choose carefully between. There's a lot of very cute photos of the 2 of them. And then it wasn't too many years until eventually the 2 of them had a wonderful wedding. That's a really nice wedding. There's the 2 of them kissing cake. Hardly look a day older. I've got some quotes here, which is when Phil's asked about the secret to a long, happy marriage, he says, "I married a very patient woman." When Susan's asked the same question, she says, "Make sure you marry an incredibly handsome guy who becomes your best friend and soulmate, with a deep sense of what's right and wrong, who always tries to do the right thing. He makes me laugh every day and never denies me anything. When I ever ask, can I take home another cat from the rescue shelter? Can we have that mental dog that's bouncing off the walls? And can we go back to Scotland? I don't really want to stay in America. And can we go and see this cattery that I just like to buy?" His answer is always, "Yes, of course, dear." Plus, he also cooks Christmas dinner every year, so we've got that going for him. And then, whopping 30 years later, the 2 of them did a renewal of the vows ceremony in 2017 in Rarotonga, which is absolutely beautiful. I must admit, I definitely look up to you as an example of an absolutely gorgeous couple that really have each other's backs and have a very loving marriage. But after the wedding, they packed their bags and flew to the US of A to live for a couple of years. That's them quite literally with their bags. And I just sort of...
Nothing to see here.
I looked through some of the some photos that were sort of
I
old
look
scanned.
like a Scottish hitman with a kilt and face.
Got a sniper rifle there, that's
You're gonna have a
okay.
bagpipe and
I just picked the most American-looking photos. A steak enough to be a family of 4 that's been burnt to a crisp and filled with an absolute alpha stance in front of some outfits. Really gives off the right American vibes. More American vibes here. And I found some photos and I didn't realise after I put these in, it's got the Twin Towers, but... And then this also just looked very American. I'm not sure if it's from America, but it had a good American vibe to it, so I thought I'd put it in.
That's when we discovered you could get a dozen Dunkin' Donuts for like $1.
Very dangerous.
It went downhill very rapidly.
So Philip's pregnant with you then?
So, one common theme throughout his life is Phil has always been a lover of animals of various different types and sizes. Some big animals, some very big animals to Phil.
He was born a month after I was born and we grew up together.
Then also some very small animals as well. And everything.
No mention of Richard here, please.
And then more dogs licking his face. And then all the way up to old, young dogs. Yeah, that was so young dogs, old dogs. This was Minnie, who we adopted when she was end of life. We only had her for a while, but I think Phil and Susan over the years have rescued over 20 animals or so. And
I
then
think Susan rescued me as well.
And then up to today, when they finally decided to give themselves a break after adopting all the mental cases, to adopt yet another mental case, who I think your goal was to have a nice, easy dog, but you seem to have failed at that. You're absolutely amazing parents to her. But then also fish as well. And some of you might not know that Phil was one of the founding members of the Scottish Reefkeeper Society. He was into his fish for very many a year, and then a decade or so later he went to fish again, but no fish at the moment. But it's been
Not allowed.
Yeah, got enough cats.
I tell you, the cats love that, the heat coming off the hide into the light. They just.
So long as an annoying 2-year-old child doesn't go and switching the light off every 5 minutes.
Yeah, it's amazing you're turning 3 actually.
But one of the biggest events in Phil and Susan's life was at some point they made the decision to go and have a wee small child. Who, as you can see, I don't look much different. And I think that throughout my life, Phil has always been a very loving, very caring father who put his heart and soul into everything, playing peekaboo with me. And there's me and my naming ceremony when I was just a wee child. And then here we are where I grew up in the lavender bushes, and Christmas. Christmas has always been something that in many ways is quite important to Phil as a time to show love to the family, and I have lots of really fond memories from growing up at Christmas time, and lots of fond memories from growing up in the countryside with, surrounded by animals, and it was all a very lovely childhood. And then also travelled a bit as well, which was a very good time. Been to all sorts of places, from America to Egypt, see the pyramids. One thing is Phil has been around the world 100 times in fact, sometimes only to probably see the inside of an office and then get onto another plane at an airport, but also some good cultural experiences too. And there's sort of, I guess as well, about Phil as a father, he's always been very loving and supportive, and sort of quickly fast forwarding to a more recent example is sort of in the last few years when I got addicted to doing robotics, and Phil poured everything he could into supporting me in doing that, with these two nerds here as well. And it was amazing to see how much love and support Phil gave us as a team, and went twice to Kentucky to compete in the World Championships, which was some of the best memories that I think some of us have.
And seeing Lachlan and Sarah on TV and Z News, which we're going to play now.
Sarah will turn bright red.
Sarah refuses to watch that.
But one very notable thing that a decision Phil made in his life was an absolutely, completely out there decision to say, you know what, why don't we consider moving country from literally one end of the world to the other. He couldn't have really picked a place to go.
It was short of Scott Basin and Antarctica, it was the furthest I could get away from my family. but they keep following me.
And I think that the move to New Zealand was probably one of the most impactful, but also one of the absolute best life decisions Phil ever made for himself and the family. Here's a picture from us early days. I apologise for the quality of the photos. This is Susan and I sorting through the photos, which had been digitally taken, printed, I scanned with my phone, and so it's all that.
Is that the picture out? Yeah.
Yep. It's in the
No
first
way.
photos.
No way. Been there
Yeah,
long.
that would have been when you first met me. I would have been that size.
I'll go listen to the camper for
Yeah, same. Yeah, the two of you have been totally ready, having run, I still don't know where down, which environment.
And so, as well, quite quickly sort of learned to, take part in the New Zealand culture. We've been swimming with dolphins, watched a lot of the Rugby World Cup in 2011, and there's us with a picture of the trophy when it did its victory lap. And sort of the other thing about Phil is that he really loves to sort of throw himself at every possible thing he can. Looking at myself and looking at Phil, I see quite a few parallels that both Phil and I have probably had every single hobby under the sun and sort of done it all 5 times over. There's sort of 1,000,001 things Phil has done. Every sort of opportunity, whether he's into astronomy, whether he's into diving, whether he's into board games, 3D printing, Dungeons and Dragons, model making, and Lego, just sort of absolutely everything Phil's had a go at, and that he sort of likes to deep dive one thing and then eventually get bored of it and to move on to the other, which is exactly the same as me, so my father's...
does not fall far from the tree, does it?
And so that's sort of Phil, I guess, and that's sort of why
Now I'm going to take, since I've got a captive audience, I'm going to say a few things, pass on some pieces of wisdom. I wasn't sure how much I would have had to drink at this point, so I wrote it down rather than many of your comments, thank you very much for coming. It's fantastic to be surrounded by so many dear friends and colleagues and I wanted to talk a little bit about getting older. It's coming to you all.
What's it like?
I'm on my way to tell you. Life from and just so for those of you that don't know everybody, there's people in the 20s here, full of hope and optimism. There are people in their 30s, their 40s and 50s.
And 60.
Yes.
So looking back over my life in my 20s was great. We had no real responsibilities, did we? Nothing but hope and optimism for the future and excitement about what we were going to do. And we got married at 23 and moved off to New Zealand. I was 23, she was 22. And we moved off to New Jersey for a different life as follow up, grab the opportunities. I was working out the other day that in my family I was the first one to travel abroad, and actually realised that's not the case. My grandfather went to Egypt in the war, but it maybe doesn't quite count the same as choosing to travel and go to another country. Your 30s are really interesting. You've kind of settled into your life, you've got some good hobbies, you're earning a bit more money, you can make a bit more fun in life if you can afford to. Maybe you don't have the same energy that you had in your 20s, maybe that's a good thing, but you're hitting the stride in your life. In my 40s, work really started to take off for me, but not necessarily in a good way. That's when I started to travel the world for work, and I travel with just, it gets too much sometimes. 90 flights in 1 year, Now, it's only 52 weeks in a year. 90 flights in a year is not good. Not good for your health, and not good for relationships, and yeah. And then in my 40s as well, I was starting to feel the effects of some of my poorer health choices in my teen years, my 20s and my 30s, and realising, and this is for those in their 30s, that's just round the corner, so you've got to think about that. And at 46 we decided we would start a family. And in the middle of a cold, starry winter's night, 36, sorry. And in the middle of a cold, I felt like I was 46. In the middle of a cold, starry winter's night, Lachlan was born. Susan stood at the window in our country house and looked out at the starry sky. Orion was creeping above the horizon, and a shooting star went flying through the sky, the first one she'd ever seen, and she thought to herself, something amazing's about to happen. My water's broken! Good to see you, Chris. And in our 40s we decided to take the opportunity and move countries again. We've been to America. I spent 3 months in Malta, putting in the government's first computer system. That was an interesting long time. Let's go to New Zealand. I went to an immigration show in February, rushed home and said, Susan, we're going to New Zealand. And Labour Day in October that year, we arrived in New Zealand and spent the rest of our life here. And in my 40s as well, I took the opportunity to try and start to reverse some of those health problems caused by previous bad decisions on diet and drink and whatnot, and weight loss surgery, which resulted in me losing 46 kgs and doing a 5 kilometre race for the first time in a very long time. I wrote down in my 50s and thought,
That's what you can't remember.
and it's realised that COVID stole 2 of those years for starters. But it just went like that. You know, suddenly it's like, you're in your 40s, it's 50, and boom, you're 60. Like, what the hell? I'm in my 60s now, and I'm loving it. You know, age is a state of mind. My knees don't agree with that.
Yeah.
Do they? No.
How is he now?
Because he's had a knee
Okay,
operation.
That makes more sense.
I feel like I'm finally hitting my stride at work. I still suffer from imposter syndrome, big time. But I'm clear on my goals and I'm looking forward to retirement. For those of you who've been in the house and seen my board game cupboard of shame, my workshop, you know that I have a massive number of projects going forward. First try for the All Blacks. I'm going to have Sean, don't worry. I have got, these people say, oh, I retired but I didn't know what to do, I had to go back to work. You know my position. You know, it's like, no, I'm looking forward to retirement. But once upon a time, 5 years seemed to be a long, long time. If you're in your 20s, you're thinking 5 years ahead of you, that's a long time. When you hit 60, yeah, it's, I know it's going to go pretty bad, pretty quickly. For those of you that I work with, please put your finger in your ears and don't repeat this to management. Although I will do your retire in 5 years, I can reckon I can work for 4 and cruise the last one. Yeah. But I reflect back on the amazing moments in life, and this is when you get towards your later years, it's not the number of breaths you take, the number of moments you take the breath away, those amazing moments that go back and stay with you. And we've had some amazing ones. From meeting Susan a week after she turned 20, she still claims I did that on purpose, so I didn't have to buy her a present. She still let's go for that.
Still haven't got that list.
You know, nothing stops it.
Getting married to her in 87, moving to the US, getting her first dog, Tara, was the young dog in Latin dog, lying and talking in the sofa. Then Murphy, then Kosh, Ella, Zach, Max, Minnie, Harley, and now first Puppy Biscuit, and all the cats. Some of you have heard the story. Susan once asked me, how many cats is too many cats? And I jokingly said 10, because 10 is too many cats. I didn't realise she was going to use this as a target to aim for. And we ended up with 8 cats in the house. Me, mum, bloody big mouth. But yet, she won't let me get the Maine Coon kitten that I want.
Oh, no place for big thing.
Being gifted with laughing, it really felt like that. Not having a child, we were gifted with laughing. Embracing is special. In gifted development, for those of you who know, we did not have a normal journey through life. And it was exciting and enthralling, and just we can't believe here at the seas. We've had the opportunity to travel the world, not just with work, but we've travelled ourselves. We've been to Boston, we had an amazing trip to Boston many years ago, got out whale watching. Dubai, and Susan asking me, why is that guy following you about? That's a butler. we splurged, I spent all my air points and my Amex points, and we did a New Year's celebration in Dubai. Great memory. Sharm el Sheikh, going and learning to dive there, doing a quad bike tour up into the mountains in Egypt, that's amazing. Cairo, an amazing, scary place. Florida, doing the whole Disney experience. And the Cook Islands, one of our favourite places to go together. Growing up in Scotland in the northeast, 100 miles north of the polar circle, it felt like. Thought going to a South Pacific island was just, that happened in the movies. That was beyond expectation. So I love it we can do that. And then visiting Hobbiton, Middle Earth, amazing. For those of us that are a few more decades old, we grew up with some of the greatest music ever. There's good music today, but we grew up with the revolutionary music. The 60s and the 70s, so some experimental bands, and stuff that happened that just never could. Other special moments is we do the robotics team. Even Rago, who is the Peter Pan of the robotics team. I swear to God, you've not changed in the years that I've known you. The pride in seeing them lift the national championship twice. They've won every trophy in the national championships. The Excellence Award design, we won it all. Taking them out to be divisional finalists and finishing in the top 60 in the world. Something like that. Yeah. So being divisional finalists, it's up there. Tremendous. Pretty good. And then seeing you go to university, get degrees, moving into work, it's just being able to speak to your employers to give references. And for me, it's great pride being able to do that. And you'll sell them capabilities. I mentioned the TV piece. I'm going to make you watch that one. That was we got a local newspaper article and TVNZ picked it up, and then we got to Breakfast TV, and these two fought in the car. The only time I've ever seen them fighting in the car because they were so anxious about going into appear on TV. They walked in, they nailed it, they came across trade winds, raising more money to go to the World Championships. It was fantastic. But Sarah just refuses to watch it. It's not fair. I've seen them participate in the growth in technology. You all take for granted these days. Home computers was not a thing when I was a kid. My first computer was X81 I got in January 1981. My phone has 128 million times the capacity of that first computer. It's mind-blowing what technology's done. Dial-up internet, acoustic couplers, that sound that was on to 50, 40 and 60-year-olds, it's great. Yeah. Thinking we were the bee's knees when we got 5200 baud modems. Wow, speed! Fibre, streaming, bulletin boards, speaking to people around the world. Online gaming, online shopping, the world getting smaller. We've talked to people who moved to New Zealand years and years before the internet came along. And for them it really was moving to the other side of the world. For us, we could go on trade, we could look at houses, built a straight view, we could see New Zealand, it didn't feel that far away. Whereas if you come out in the 70s, it really was a 3-month boat journey and you had no idea what you were alive for. Meeting Sarah, I tell you, one of the most amazing young women you could ever hope to meet. Lachlan is punching way as a Jameson's man. I do punching way above my weight. She's gorgeous, she's bright, she's funny, she's talented, she's got OCD. She makes the most amazing artisan cheeses for some of the finest restaurants in the city. And just I'm so proud to know her and to see her grow into this amazing young woman. But life hasn't always been the keys, like say, being a box of fluffies. We've lost friends to cancer, like Graham, for example. He was in Platinum, he was taken from us too young. We lost family to natural causes, like my dad a month ago. Family to tragic accidents, like Bob, taken well before his time. And it's all taught us, really one thing, that nothing's certain. There's no guarantees in life, and you've got to make the most of your time here. To quote my favourite poet, in fact, the only poet I care to read, Robbie Burns. This is a segment from a larger piece. Life is but a day at most, sprung from night and darkness lost, hope not sunshine every hour, fear not clouds, always loud. Happiness is but a name, make content and ease thy aim. Ambition is a meteor gleam, fame a restless airy dream. Just picking out 2 of those lines, this is something I want to stress to everybody, especially those younger. Life is but a day at most, make content and ease thy aim. Put your happiness on the map. Don't lose sight of that. It's a reminder that life is precious. This is the only one you get. Make the most of it. Be kind. It doesn't cost you anything. Invest in yourself. Invest in your health, especially your knees. Invest in your relationships. Invest in a good bed. Seriously. Buy the expensive roll. It's worth it. Invest in a great pair of shoes. As I've learned, life goes far too fast. So to finish up, mark this day in your calendar. It's an important day because it's not often you'll hear a Scot say this. Drink slowly.